Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is the Into the Weekend with BetDSI show for college football, Week 12. Our very popular show where we talk to Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, a huge sportsbook that takes a ton of action from the public, from the sharps, and Brent very kindly shares with us the information that he's got for the upcoming football card. Again, right now we're looking ahead to college football Week 12. It's late Friday afternoon right now. Brent, thanks for being back with us.
Good to be with you, Peter.
All right, let's start in Mississippi State, Alabama, right? And we've mentioned before on previous shows how Mississippi State, for a top-ranked team in the nation, is not seeing the kind of betting action we're used to seeing. And here we go, right? Mississippi State on the road, touchdown underdog to Alabama, and it's gotten bet up. It's now like -8 or 8.5. So, is that public action pounding Alabama here?
It's not like 8 or 8.5. It is 9.5 or 10. It's gone
really?
way up there.
Oh my God!
Yeah, no, I mean it's really weird. I mean, we just had just a ton of money on Alabama. It's the count is really the volume is really close in terms of the dollar amount, but the count definitely favors Mississippi State. And I think you got a lot of public guys looking at Mississippi State saying, "Wow, how can this be? They're ranked number 1. I'm taking the 9.5 or 10, whatever it is." But our count does favor Mississippi State almost like over 2 to 1. And our money is dead even now. I took some bigger bets on Alabama when the line was like 7 and stuff like that. But I've also taken some, respectable money on Mississippi State plus the 9 and 9.5. So it just mostly right now we've got sharps on both sides of the game depending on what the number is, and we have the public mostly on Mississippi State. So that's kind of why we're hanging where we are between 9.5 or maybe 10-15.
Wow.
I do want to mention one thing. We do got sharp action on the total actually both ways as well. I mean, I've got real sharp guys going over 52, and I've got sharp guys going under the 54. We're just taking more money on the over as well. Again, you might want to call that public money. So we're sitting at 54.5 right now. So it's interesting that this is one of those games where sharps have gotten involved both on the side and the total, and they've gotten both sides of the game and both over and the under on the total. It's in terms of action, it's really good for us because you've got guys who are sharp going both ways, and of course your dollar volume gets way up there because they usually bet a little higher.
Okay, and then Florida State, Miami. Florida State maybe the second most interesting team of the year besides TCU, and we know that they're still undefeated, but 2-7 against the spread. And you've told us on previous shows how the sharps have loved to fade Florida State when they're a big favorite. Last week, Virginia, huge sharp side, and that won. Here, though, if they remain undefeated, if they lose against the spread in this one, it probably means that they lose the game outright. So I'm wondering if the public is biting either way, and if the sharps are coming in on Miami.
You couldn't go a show without mentioning TCU, could you?
No, I can't. I love fascinating.
It's the second most interesting team, Florida State, because the first has to be TCU. It's interesting with the whole ranking system now is that you win doesn't necessarily mean that you're going through. It's like you have to win, and you have to win impressively. Plus, of course, they're taking the strength of schedule real hard, and obviously they're favoring Pac-10 teams quite a bit, it seems. So it's really interesting so far. I mean, you got TCU at number 4 right now, and I mean Mississippi State's a big dog this week. They're number 1, and Florida State we're talking about at Miami, and I've got sharps on Miami, Florida. So I'm liking this position in terms of someone who has a financial stake in TCU. I'm liking the fact that the sharps are on Miami, Florida. Now they came in when the line was +3, and we're sitting at 2.5 right now on Florida State. Now, I've got about 5 to 1 count in terms of the matchable bet count on Florida State, and my money's almost dead even again. And that's the case where you've got public money on Florida State, sharp guys on Miami plus the.
Wow. There you go. Definitive sharp public split on Florida State, Miami, as you might expect. Public on Florida State, sharps on Miami. I don't know if I have the balls to tail that, but I know what the right way to tail is if I want to. All right, thanks so much for that information, Brent. And then Ohio State, Minnesota, another interesting game. Ohio State, of course, has been a great bet on the year. Anyone who's been betting them week after week has mostly been winning. They're coming off the huge Michigan State win. Now that they're a double-digit road favorite at Minnesota, who has been a scrappy team, and it's supposed to be cold weather there. So I'm wondering, is the public pounding Ohio State here anyway?
Yeah, I mean, I've got sharp money and public money on Ohio State. We're sitting, their count is probably 3 to 1 right now. The Ohio State money that was sharp came in at like 12.5. So I mean that number's pretty much gone. We're sitting like at 13.5 or 14 right now. But the count is about 3 to 1 in favor of Ohio State. I've taken some decent money back on Minnesota, but nothing, I would call it a big bet, not necessarily a sharp bet. But on the side, definitely the sharp money came in early on Ohio State. Again, 12.5 was the number they laid, so we're up to 14 right now. We're 13.5. And I also got sharp money under. Again, cold weather, maybe that might have something to do with it. We're down to 54.5. The sharp money did come in, was under 57.
All right, and nothing sharp came back on Minnesota when it got to 13.5 or 14.
No, I mean, the money that came back on Minnesota was plus 14, but it was just it's just a big bet, not necessarily a sharp bet.
Right. Okay, and then before we get to the rest of the card, Auburn, Georgia, huge game. Georgia is a small home favorite. I'm assuming that also is getting big public action that mostly splits. Has there been any sharp action of note on that game?
Yeah, I did take sharp money on Georgia -2. That was pretty much sharp. And the totals pretty much all under. I took sharp money under 69.5, but I got a lot of public money going over 68, over 68.5, over 69. So I mean, the sharp money under was 69.5. The public money mostly bigger bets, public guys going for 68 and above. So my count's really close on this one. My money's about 2-1 in favor of Georgia, though. And again, -2 is where the sharp play came in on Georgia. It was only one guy, and same with the total. It was only one guy in the under, so it's not like the stars are all aligning on this one. Like the case of Miami, Florida, we just touched on. I've got a couple guys on Miami, Florida +3, so it's not just where, but it's like 2 or 3 of them. So you kind of feel a little bit better on that one. Right now, though, with Georgia -2, that was sharp. Under 69.5 was sharp as well.
All right, awesome information, man. Strong, sharp opinion on Miami, Florida. Unbelievable. All right, Brent. Well, thanks so much for covering those 4 games, and now let's just get to the rest of the card. College football, Week 12. What can you tell us about notable action?
Well, Peter, I'm assuming you laid Tennessee minus like 7.5 or 9, and that would paint you as a sharp because of that. There are Kentucky are lines up to like 10.5 right now. But sharps did come in early in the week on Tennessee, minus, like I said, -7.5, -9, -9.5, up to 10.5 right now. My count's about 2-1 in favor of Tennessee. My money's about 4-1, so we're definitely one-sided there. Tennessee at home to Kentucky, again, line's 10.5 right now. Dropping down to Virginia Tech is an interesting one. I mean, Duke, I think someone put out a stat the other day that if you look at Duke's last, Duke's last 19 games or something like that, they actually have a better record in football than they do in basketball, which is kind of
yeah.
But, Duke is at home now. The lines dropped all the way down to 4. They were a big favorite earlier up, and I had sharps come in on Virginia Tech +7, +6.5, +6. We're all the way down to 4, but definitely one-sided in terms of the sharps who did play. They were on Virginia Tech. The game's at Duke. Lines 4 now. They came in, like I said, early. It was like +7, 6.5, and stuff like that. So sharp stuff came very early. Down to South Alabama, that's another game where I've got a couple of guys on South Alabama. They're at home to Texas State. We're running a line of 6.5 right now. The sharps came in at 4, 4.5, and 5. So, I mean, I got all bets on South Alabama and not a single drop. I mean, if you came in right now, Peter, and bet Texas State, you'd be the first guy. That's how bad it is. They got no action the other way. Big home favorite of Marshall. They're up to, 21.5 now. Sharps came in on Marshall at 19.5 and 20.5. They're at home to Rice. And Florida International, the total in that game, they're at home to Middle Tennessee State. Middle Tennessee State's favored by 4.5 on the road. The total is down to 8.5 right now because we start money both under 50.5 and 50. Again, when I say both 50.5 and 50, it was 2 different sharps who came in on this game. So for 2 different sharps to come in on a total on a game like Florida International, that's pretty strong as well.
Right. Yeah, I was looking at that game. I was thinking it looked a little bit low. I was like, maybe I'll hit the over on this one. Not anymore.
Maybe you should, just to make it happen.
All right. Is that all you have for us this week for College Football Week 12?
That's all the shop. Yeah, that'll do it.
Okay. Thanks so much, Brent. Really appreciate it. Now let's move on to NFL Week 11.
The SBR Network offers free sports picks and game breakdowns. Big money free betting contests year-round. A real-time Vegas-style odds monitoring service, and much more. So come see for yourself. To stay updated on SBR news and promotions, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and do be sure to subscribe to the Sportsbook Review YouTube channel to catch all our daily sports shows.